Hey, what's up, guys? It is Easter Sunday, 2020, and I am recording this video in homage to Easter, right? This is a 2-for-1 Primarch book review of the 2 Primarchs who have been resurrected. Get it? You know, Easter, resurrection, all of that stuff. So here we have Vulkan, Lord of Drakes, and here we have Roboute, Guilliman. I don't know how he's supposed to be pronounced. It looks like just a disaster of French or something. But I picked these two to sprinkle in just a little bit of lore as the only 2 Primarchs to have basically died, for lack of a better word, only to be resurrected. Other Primarchs have died, but so far have not actually come back from the dead in any sort of appreciable way, other than, you know, cloning and stuff like that. These guys actually came back, and I suppose we'll talk about that a little bit. So I'll sprinkle in a little bit of the lore about the Primarchs themselves as we go through the books. As a reminder, these Primarch books are really about the boxes and the book covers themselves. There's not really any art on the inside to go through. So we're going to keep it pretty strict to just the reviewing the 2 boxes, giving you kind of a compare and contrast of how they look. All of the Primarch books are pretty similar, but we're going to go through and just take a look. And the art inside of both of these is fantastic. Inside the boxes, like I said, inside the books, there's not really any art, but inside the boxes of these 2 are great pictures. In my opinion, better than the art inside the Lionel Johnson boxes. Don't at me. It's no comment on the different Primarchs themselves, just the art that they went with. Let's start with Vulkan. Vulkan is one of my favorite Primarchs. He is the Primarch of the Salamander's Legion, and I don't know why I like Vulkan so much. I mean, he does throw a Shadow Sword tank. He's probably the strongest of the Primarchs physically. He's kind of funny, and he made a bunch of cool weapons. And I do like the Salamanders. Their affinity for fire is always fun, but they're also selfless in a way that other Space Marines aren't. And that comes from Vulkan and his bad treatment at the hands of the Dark Eldar when he was just a young Primarch, wielding a hammer before the Emperor arrived on his planet. It's just, he's got a lot of cool backstory. So here we have the Vulkan box. You can see they went with the current Legion colors, and thank you guys for correcting me a little bit on the last one. That red was one of the colors of the Dark Angels prior to the heresy. They used red and then later switched to the green. So thanks for correcting me on that. I'm not sure if that's why they went with the red inlay there, but the green inlay on the Salamanders only makes sense. Green is their color. It's what they've had since during the Horus Heresy, and then following into the 41st millennium. We've got a Drake head on the front with fire coming out of it. We've also got the anvil and hammer. Vulkan is a weaponsmith. He's a blacksmith. He's a weaponsmith, and these are symbols of him as much as they are of the Legion, which does cherish the idea of creation and modification. All of the Salamanders are competent smiths in their own right, as part of their Legion principles. And you see a lot of fire motif. That's what they're going for. We've got the Drake heads of the Legion here, a fire debossed on the box, and some pretty intricate fire pattern work here as well. And of course the symbol, the 18th Legion. Moving around to the side, of course, it says Vulkan, Lord of Drakes, very similar to the Lionel Johnson with the 2 Drake heads on it, the emblems here. And then moving around the back, we've got the same pattern around the border, and then the text, which says, "Fire tempers us, fire shapes us, and we become what we are because we know too that fire destroys. Let us embrace this destruction and harness it to our purpose." So good quote. Moving inside the box, if you remember, they've got the magnetic clasp here, and they open to some full cover art. We've got the numbering up in the corner. This is 1773 out of 2500. I just love this. The colors are vibrant. The picture is cool. It's got Vulkan with a plasma pistol, big sword, some salamanders here ready to tear it up. We've got the lava. Their planet is just full of volcanic and seismic activity, which make it a very dangerous place to be. So this is it's just good art. It's vibrant. It's out there, and it's got more action in it than the previous Lionel Johnson art did. Moving to the book itself, again, we see it's a repeat of the same art. Same with Lionel Johnson. Same spine canvas on the spine of the book itself. Trading out one of the Drake heads for the Black Library logo there. But we get the same green and fire effect. Again, these books are extremely well done. The pages all look good. The printing is good. The contrast of the page and the text is great. We don't need to go through all of it. These are all very similar books, so I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on it. They do have a nice bookmark ribbon right here. Like I said, all of the special editions have the bookmark ribbon in them. I don't know why they feel they're so important, but they do. They do. These are fairly quick reads too. And if you see, of course, around the side, we have the green pattern continued. So this is Vulkan on his home world with his salamanders, looking manly, fire everywhere. How do you not like Vulkan? The reason Vulkan has been resurrected, and Vulkan has been resurrected more than anyone, is because Vulkan is what's called a perpetual. The perpetuals in the 40K universe don't die, or if they do die, they're able to basically regenerate and resurrect themselves, even from basically being vaporized into atoms. They just come back for whatever reason. They get to experience the pain and horrors of their death, but they come back. Vulkan is the only Primarch known to be a perpetual. The Emperor himself is a perpetual. There's a lot of debate about whether or not letting the Emperor die so that he could come back would be the appropriate course of action. We don't really get to participate. We get to kind of witness a little bit of that debate in the universe, but not a ton. Not a ton. I think they're kind of ramping up towards some major decision. But Vulkan appears well after the heresy, even though he was thought lost. And he appears in the Beast Saga to do battle with a giant orc Primarch, so to speak. And then he ends up kind of detonating with him and presumably being dead, although we know that as a perpetual, he's likely still out there. So that was a very cool scene in the Beast Saga, seeing Vulkan return. But since then, we haven't really seen him. He's just presumed to be out there somewhere. And it's a cool feature of Vulkan, and it adds some mystery. Can he be killed? There was a guy who attempted to kill Vulkan. It's a long story, but there's a way to kind of kill perpetuals. He didn't really succeed, and Vulkan is still around, presumably. Who knows? I guess we'll find out at some point in the future if coronavirus ever stops and Games Workshop and Black Library go back to making stuff. We'll have to see. All right, moving on, we're going to switch over to Roboute Guilliman. He's another Primarch favorite of mine, not because of anything that he does, but because I find his Legion to be funny, and I find his attitude to be a little bit hilarious. He is the Primarch of the 13th Legion, the Ultramarines, the homage to Julius Caesar and his 13th Legion, an homage to the Roman Empire in its own right. Everything about the Ultramarines screams this sort of Roman imperialism, and that's part of what I like about it. They're just overwhelming. They're good at what they do. They're good at things that don't involve fighting at all. Oh, it's crumb or something on here. That's lovely. they're managers as well as warriors, and they're just a fun legion. So of course we have the 13 logo here, the big U of Ultramar surrounding the world. Guilliman had created, as a Primarch, he had created I guess an empire of his own of 500 worlds, the 500 worlds, being far more successful at creating and managing an empire than any of his brother Primarchs by the time the Emperor found him. He was a very effective leader, manager, administrator, strategist, tactician, all of that. That's what he's great at. But he also does get pissed off from time to time, and that just warms the cockles a bit, right? I mean, he can still throw down. So we've got the laurels, we've got the U of Ultramar, we've got the Imperial Eagle. Notice this is not the Imperium's eagle. This is a one-headed eagle, not a two-headed eagle. We've got an iron halo motif going back here. There's just the whole image on the front is to express the power and completeness of the Ultramarines. We've got lightning. He is the avenging sun. We've got a skull with laurels as well. This book was printed and distributed prior to Guilliman's actual recent resurrection and reintroduction into the 41st millennium. Guilliman lived through the assault on Terra. He wasn't actually able to make it to Terra. So he lived through it. He was then named as the Lord Commander of the Imperium. The Emperor was dead, and Guilliman was there to run the High Council and to kind of run everything. He was bested by an assassin with a cursed weapon called an athame, and almost killed. He was say almost. He was mortally wounded, but he was transported into a stasis chamber for only about just short of 10,000 years, something like that. He was in stasis on in Ultramar. He was you could go see him, and he had the neck wound and everything, and he was recently resurrected in the storyline by a combined effort of a whole bunch of people to come back and be the Lord Commander of the Imperium again. And since he's been brought back, he's pushed back the 13th Black Crusade. He has taken control. He has implemented the Primaris Marines. He's making real big changes to how the Imperium runs, as we would expect a Primarch to do, especially one with the administrative mind of Guilliman. So lots of stuff going on. This, of course, this book has nothing to do with any of that. These are all Horus Heresy era books to flesh out the backstories of the Primarchs themselves. All right, I've expounded enough. We have the U of Ultramar in the four corners. Moving around the book, of course, we've got Roboute Guilliman, Lord of Ultramar, and there is really no better title for him. He's, Vulkan is the Lord of Drakes. Conrad Kurz is the Night Haunter. These Primarchs all get titles, but the title Guilliman gets is reflective of what he does best, and it's to run, to administrate, to oversee. So it's pretty interesting. On the back, we do have his quote here: "To plunder, to slaughter, to steal, these things have long been misnamed empire. Ours is the better way." And we do get some extra little skulls on the back here. This is kind of cool. All right, moving into it. Notice those aren't here up on the front, and that's a little extra embellishment. The Salamanders book didn't have those two extra debosses on the sides. So again, we've got the magnetic clasp opening up. We've got the Avenging Sun here, Roboute. This is number 1209 out of 2500. I hope you can see that. Again, the art here is vibrant. It's cool. We've got Ultramarines coming out of the fire. He's got his ultramarine gladius style sword. It's not really a gladius, but it's got sort of that look to it because of the U above the crossguard. He's got his power fist, and he's just looking pretty angry. Notice you can't even, let's see, you can't even really see his pupils of his eyes or anything like that because he's in murder factory mode. Along with a standard bearer for the Ultramarines here, and of course this is the laurels and iron halo that adorn the armor of Roboute. So pretty cool stuff. We've got, moving to the book, we've got the same. He's got like a silver inlay. It's really hard to see, but it's a silver grayish color, a little bit of shine to it. But the Ultramarines are blue. They went with silver for the book. I don't know why. I thought they should go with blue. But we've got Roboute, Guilliman, Lord of Ultramar. Again, the Black Library stamp down there. And notice around the outside is the silver. They went full on with the silver for this book. Even the ribbon. I just feel like they should have gone with blue for the ribbon. Myself. That's me. They do have these nice inserts here. Guilliman treatise on the disaster. Some of his writings are set into the book between chapters and stuff like that. Kind of gives a little bit of flavor to who Guilliman was. He wrote the Codex Astartes. He broke the legions up into units of 1,000 rather than 100,000 plus strong forces, and to prevent a future heresy. But anyway, that's basically the book here. Again, very cool stuff. I really do like the artwork on both of these books, and both of these Primarchs again for Easter, right? Resurrected in various ways. Vulkan as a Perpetual. Guilliman actually resurrected kind of hypocritically by alien technology, and maybe a little bit of warp-fueled magic went into that as well. Sorcery, as it were. It's hard to say. And I'm kind of curious if that will eventually come back and bite him or bite the Imperium moving forward. What deals had to be made, what promises need to be fulfilled when the Black Crusade is pushed back. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me today. It's a little bit of a longer video because we have the 2 books. I wanted to add a little bit of lore and flavor in there as well. Give me some feedback in the comments if you want more of the lore stuff alongside these books. Let me know if you want what you want next. I'm thinking I'll do the Gaunt's Ghost box set next, which is pretty cool and has a lot of moving parts to it. Well, not really moving parts, but a lot of little parts to it. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining me. Hope you have a blessed Easter. Hope you have a great day. Enjoy. Peace.